But for those of you who don't know, the Regional Design Advisory Council is in our third year. It was originally a merger between the Urban Design Committee through the AIA and also the Environment and Design Council that was led by Vicky Estrada for many years, as well as the urban. Both organizations were longstanding organizations that ultimately merged together because we had such special interests, and that's something that we're now in our third year. So, looking at our mission statement, the Regional Design Advisory Council shall serve as a forum to call to action to engage members of the professional design community, community government leaders, and relevant organizations on issues related to the built environment and public realm, including but not limited to urban planning, environmental design, architecture, landscape architecture, development, transit, housing, and public policy. The Regional Design Advisory Council is a big tent forum in which to engage and develop allies to speak as one unified voice to improve the San Diego region through advocacy, strategic design, and promoting good design in San Diego. So with that, Michael, take it away.
Hi, thank you. My name is Michael Cintron. As Todd said, I'm Secretary in Communications for RDAC here. It's my pleasure to introduce Carlos de la Mora. Architect by training and connector by nature, Carlos has worked in architecture, design, and planning since 1993. Studied architecture and urban design at Universidad Iberoamericana in Mexico City and obtained a graduate degree from the Southern California Institute of Architecture in 1999. Carlos moved to San Diego in 2005 and until 2008 directed business development efforts in Mexico for Nolte Associates. He was an Urban Land Institute San Diego Tijuana Executive Committee member and founding co-chair of their cross-border committee. And in 2009, Carlos joined the design and planning team at AECOM, where he held the position of Mexico director for 5 years. In 2018, Carlos became executive director for ULI Mexico and led the land development practice for CBRE in Mexico for the next 4 years. A bicultural citizen with an extraordinary ability in developing professional and personal relationships, Carlos works with artists, investors, designers, architects, and developers, connecting people, projects, and places across an array of social, cultural, professional, and economic circles in Mexico and the United States. As of July 2022, Carlos is the Chief Executive Officer for the World Design Capital, San Diego Tijuana 2024. And we're more than happy to have him here and really excited to hear what you've got for us today, Carlos. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael, and good afternoon, everyone. And thank you, AIA and the Regional Design Advisory Council for inviting me. I am an architect as well, so I feel at home. And not only that, but I see a few friendly faces here. Mike Stepner. Mike, I haven't forgotten about that meeting we have pending. I'll email you. Howard Blackson, who's my friend and neighbor. John. It's good to see you all. So I came in as CEO of World Design Capital in July of last year, as Michael mentioned. And there was a lot of learning last year. It was really listening to the people that brought this thing to reality. There was, as many of you know, a large group of people involved. The Design Forward Alliance led the bid process and the site visit. You may all know of that story better than I do. I see Don Holly's here as well. So it was really an honor and a privilege to get handed this huge responsibility of figuring out what to do with this designation. And if I can share my screen, I am going to show you. Let me get to the presentation. A little bit about World Design Capital, just to give you a context of where we are, and that can maybe begin our conversation. So just so we look at this from the beginning, the first question I get asked is, what is World Design Capital? And I think there's two answers for that. The first is the official response, which is, a year-long program designated every 2 years by the World Design Organization, and a little bit of history about where that has been before. Each city that gets designated World Design Capital has interpreted or decided what World Design Capital means to them. In Valencia last year, we had the opportunity to hear from Torino and from Helsinki, and looked at some of these examples. And of course, we got to see Valencia firsthand in 2022 and what they did with World Design Capital. So now it's us. As of November of 2021, when we were designated World Design Capital, we've been planning and figuring out what this thing means and what we can do with it. Let me just remind everyone, this is the first time that a city in the United States has been awarded the designation, and it's the first time that a cross-border region has been awarded the designation, and this is huge. It's only we will be the 9th edition of World Design Capital. And the other response to what World Design Capital is this one. We believe it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for meaningful regional transformation, and that has to do with two factors. The first is that we live in a unique corner of the world. Those of us that live and work here understand it, know this, live it, but people around the world don't necessarily know our story. So we want to tell that story through design. And the second is that 3 years into this pandemic and how that changed the way we live and the way we work. And it allows us, I believe, to rethink and reimagine what that future can be like. And design, I think, plays an important role in deciding what that future is. Now, who's involved? WDC 2024 has 5 organizing partners: the Design Lab at UC San Diego, the Burnham Center for Community Advancement, Design Forward Alliance, and the 2 cities, the city of San Diego and the city of Tijuana. Now, the city of San Diego and the city of Tijuana are the 2 host cities. And the slide that I need to generate is the map of the region and how we understand ourselves as a region. So for me, this is all of San Diego County and San Diego all the way south to Ensenada and all the way east to Tecate. When you think about it, it's the map of the Kumeyaay. And that's the reason I don't use the word binational and I use the word regional or cross-border, because as I said in the last slide, every voice is important, everyone is invited, and the voice of the Kumeyaay Nation and every other indigenous tribe is part of this region, and we acknowledge that, and we not only talk about inclusion, we're trying to work very hard at including every voice in this region. So another way that we're doing that is that we have set up 3 different advisory councils with very specific purposes. So everything that we're doing right now has a purpose, because if we want this to be a meaningful program and not just a series of events that happen in 2024, we need to provide meaning and purpose to everything we do. So the first group listed here is the Tijuana Advisory Council. We gathered a group of friends in Tijuana that are helping us ensure that Tijuana has its proper place in the planning and the implementation of the program. Because as you can imagine or maybe know, the WDC idea originated in San Diego. 4 out of 5 members are San Diego based. Most of the funding we expect will be coming from San Diego, but we still have to have or want to have as much of a balanced program as possible. And that's where this group comes in. Then we have a Design Advisory Council, where we're gathering a group of designers. We have our first meeting next week to make sure that design is at the center of everything that we do, because there's the temptation of having this be about everything and try to address every single problem we have in the region or every single interest or opportunity. But this is about design, and design is at the forefront of the program. And then our advisory board, which Mary Walshock is generously helping us lead. We met for the first time a couple of weeks ago, and this group is in charge of making sure that we have a financially and meaningful and financially successful implementation of the program. So the program is being shaped by our partners, not just our organizing partners, but the people that we're already working with. Examples of that are AIGA, C3, hopefully AIA after today. It took me a long time to connect with AIA, but this is a perfect group to do that with, and also a perfect moment because the level of definition we have today, we did not have a couple of months ago. So the way we're organizing the program is through signature events. That's just a series of programs that the WDO calls them internally that we need to deliver. We also create another category called premier events, which are not necessarily signature events, but they provide or they can provide impact to the program. Endorsed events, which are events that already are happening in the community and that we can insert into the WDC calendar, and activations. So this is a very general idea. This is still very much a work in process, but there's many things that I can comment right now. First, there's 2 political events that happen in 2024 that are helping us organize the program. As many of you know, early November, we have federal elections in the US, as well as a potential re-election for our mayor. And the same happens in Mexico. We have federal elections at the beginning of June, and then also a potential re-election for Mayor Caballero in Tijuana. So we are shifting the program more towards Tijuana at the beginning of the year and more towards San Diego towards the end of the year, even though a lot of these events have a cross-border component, and we're expecting events, programs, conference, exhibitions to happen on both sides of the border throughout the year. There's one event that we have this year, which is the signing ceremony. It's an event where the mayors and the president of the WDO sign a symbolic document, and it's kind of like a media opportunity and the kickoff of WDC, but the real program begins in 2024. And again, our partnerships are shaping what that becomes. So we have a few of the signature events, again, very much planned towards the end of the year, September, which is the design month all over the world, and then November with 3 signature events that kind of close the program. And we're placing a lot of emphasis in the legacy program. Again, not just events that happen in 2024, but what are we showcasing? What work is being done in the region? What seeds can we plant for this to have a longer term impact? So the signing ceremony, again, I just explaining that will happen most likely here at Park and Market, which is where our offices are. It's a UCSD facility that provides many spaces that we can use for WDC. It's connected to Tijuana via the trolley, etc. Then we have a design experience. AIGA and DFA were working on content that we like very much. That's still in process, and we're figuring out how to still have that program become one of our signature events, the design experience. It's under still planning and definition. What we are planning for September is that we do a wider celebration, again, both sides of the border, and we've already signed an agreement with San Diego Design Week so that they become an important part of the programming. We're inviting Tijuana Design Week to do the same, the Mingue International Museum, and other arts and culture partners that are helping us define what that design festival can look like. In November, towards the end of the year, we have 3 signature events that cater to the same audience. We have chief design officers from other cities. We have people coming from cities that have been World Design Capital in the past. So pretty much tapping into the WDO network, and the design policy conference is pretty much self-explanatory. We have the network of cities meeting where we hear from past WDC cities and also the WDO network about how cities are addressing their future through design. And then the convocation ceremony, which is the event that we attended in Valencia last year, and when we hand off the torch to the next city or region, whoever World Design Capital selects for 2026. Another deliverable that we have is a pavilion. Only 3 World Design Capitals in the past have had a pavilion. Valencia's pavilion was very successful. Here we need to think about it differently, though, because Valencia has 700,000 inhabitants, and in this region we're closer to 7 million. So if we wanted to cater to the same population, we would need something like 10 pavilions, which is, a difficult task to accomplish, not impossible. What we need to deliver to the WDO is just 1 pavilion, but we have the moral obligation to do at least 1 in San Diego and 1 in Tijuana. We're looking at a possibility of doing a network of pavilions. We have Park and Market as our headquarters. We have the space of Museum of Contemporary Art downtown, which you see in this picture, available to us. We have a partnership with the museum. As many of you know, they transferred their programming to La Jolla after the renovation. And also this space is not ideal for contemporary art because of temperature and humidity and other factors. So we have the great fortune of having access to this space, and we are working with our partners to connect this venue with content that makes sense for 2024, and also helping the museum in defining what this space can become as part of our arts and culture community towards the future. And we're helping them in the definition of that as one of our legacy projects. The legacy program is a collection of projects that are driven by our partners. We're just beginning to identify what they are. We had a convening at UC San Diego in December, another one in Tijuana in January, and we're already seeing a lot of initiatives, ideas that are very, very interesting. And through listening, because again, this is a community-led program, we are weaving a network of content, of venues, of ideas, and of funding that allow us to create the content for this framework that we're building. I just wanted to mention the example of Helsinki, because Helsinki, something that we learned in Valencia is that this is not just a 12-month program with a beginning and an end, but again, it's the opportunity to think long-term and to learn from cities like Helsinki and Torino that have showed what they have done since they were World Design Capital. So as you can see from this slide, Helsinki was World Design Capital in 2012, and everything that's happened in these 10 years, including the insertion of a chief design officer into their city administration, are huge things that we can help make happen through the WDC platform. WDC is just a platform. Again, our partnerships are fundamental, collaborations are key, participation is what will make this program a success. But I have to say that we're really glad with where we are right now. There was a lot of nervousness and confusion when I arrived. I think that we are now past that. We have a lot of clarity. We are in full compliance with the WDO. Our partners have a clear role in what they want to accomplish, and we're helping them achieve those goals. And we're creating, again, opening up the invitation to the broader community in San Diego and Tijuana to make sure that we have a successful program in 2024. And that's what we're here to do. So this is my contact information. So whatever, questions you have, we can talk about it today, and any follow-up or ideas, both AIA content that we could work together on inserting into our calendar, but also there may be other things out there that we have yet to have visibility on that we would be very happy to listen to and figure out a way to take advantage of this network that we're creating and that we're weaving with your help. We're kind of creating a network of networks where we've already seen the result of what these collaborations can happen. In one of the meetings we had in Tijuana, some people from UCSD were at La Caja Galeria, and they've already created this bridge that's connecting the educational programming of La Caja with UCSD extended studies. So this is an unexpected outcome of just putting these networks to play or to the test or to work. And this is what I think is the biggest value that we can add. Again, it's not just about the events, which we will do, and they will be hopefully meaningful and impactful, but we're taking advantage of this platform to connect networks that perhaps have been disconnected, and also to acknowledge this moment. Again, I insist, after the pandemic, this moment of allowing us to think differently and to identify our habits and our behaviors, and to create this new identity for the region and create these bridges, these connections, and make stuff happen. It's something that we're really excited about. So I'm going to leave it there. I noticed, Howard, that you shared Foster and Partners news for the expansion of the San Diego Museum of Art. Roxana is a good friend, and we're working with the museum as well, and that's something that we intend to showcase as well. We need to place San Diego and Tijuana at the level that we need to be. Sometimes I feel that there's been, and as you heard from Michael at the beginning, I've been connected to San Diego in Tijuana in the past. I'm not a native, I'm not from here, but I understand the dynamic fairly well. And sometimes there's an inferiority complex, I believe, here in San Diego and Tijuana. But you know, we have a lot to be proud of. So we can focus on the negative and on the failures and what we've done wrong, and we should look at that. We should identify how we can improve. But you know, there's very interesting stories in the region, and there's success stories and recent success stories. The Rady Shell, for example, CBX, hopefully the trolley that now will connect in a few years San Isidro with Tijuana, so that I could go out of Park and Market and get in the trolley and not have to get out in San Isidro, but actually go all the way into Tijuana using the trolley. And I think that this project, if you've seen the images of what Foster is proposing for the San Diego Museum of Art, I hope that project becomes a reality, because I think it would help raise the level of this region in the eyes of the international community. But anyway, that's kind of going a little bit astray of the main message. That's what we're here to do. We have a team in place. We have a very clear vision, and we're very excited. We have the support of our partners, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Carlos, for that, and for echoing the amazing opportunity that we have as a region to really take advantage of promoting good design. And one question I just maybe to kick things off is somewhat organizational. So is there an actual start date established, and is there an end date established? It sounds like it kind of takes the duration of the entire 2024 year.
It's very it's up to us, basically. I mean, officially, we are World Design Capital in 2024. So that means that from January 1st to December 31st, we are World Design Capital. Now, does that mean that we need to have everything in place by January 1st? No, not necessarily, especially understanding all the currencies that are in place. So one is financial, evidently, the other is time. And that's why a lot of the event part of the programming happens towards the end of the year. So we have more time than if we were to take January 1st as a date. We have an additional 8-9 months to do these high impact events in September and November. So that was done by design, but it also allows us to figure out a lot of the things that are not defined at this point. We just got our tax exempt status 2 days ago. Like literally, I arrived to a 501c3 that was not yet complete. Again, DFA took a lot of the leadership and a lot of the load there. Then the Burnham Center became our fiscal sponsor. And now, we're taking ownership of our own entity and our own identity and our own team, while still working with our partners, but figuring things out as we go along. consolidating the program, being smarter about how we use our resources and these currencies. Another currency is creativity and talent and innovation and ideas, and that's where we're really strong. So do we wish we had more time? Not really. We have the time that we have. It's enough to deliver a really well-planned program. We need to be smart. We need to take advantage of these resources that we have before us. But we're also very realistic about what we can and what we can't do, what we can control and what we can't control. So we're very, very comfortable and very confident that we will deliver a solid, successful program in 24. Now, another way to respond to that is we're already working. We're already doing stuff before 2024, and we plan to continue to do stuff past 2024. So again, the official program, according to WDO, are those 12 months. What we do with those 12 months is the real interesting questions. What do we want to partner? Who do we want to partner with? How do we partner? What resources do we take advantage of? Again, venues, ideas, content, and what seeds do we plant for that legacy program of what remains here 5, 10, 15 years later, so that when we are at an event 10, 15, 20 years from now, we are able to say, this thing that you see now began in 2024, or it began earlier, but 2024 helped us reach the next level. There's an interesting, so Valencia used WDC as one stepping stone in many other actions that made their city more competitive and more attractive for investment, and they had their own vision and their own agenda. But they had Formula One races, they had the America's Cup, then they had World Design Capital. Now they're like the green capital of Europe. So it's a part of a longer plan, of a longer vision. It's not narrow. Again, it's not those 12 months. And for us, I think we need to be, and this was I wasn't even thinking of this until very recently when someone said, this is something that we need to look at now in terms of that future vision and future identity of how we want to showcase ourselves before the world, because people are coming to LA for the Olympics and they're 2 hours away. So if we understand this region as a broader communicated region, which it is, we will have this attention very close to us. And then again, 2 years later with the World Cup, where, we are also part of that, even if it's not just San Diego based. But I think San Diego and Tijuana have this opportunity to begin to define this region or continue to define it. I mean, Temporary Paradise is 50 years old. We were just or will be in 2024. So, and all these, I wouldn't even call them coincidences. It's just a confluence of things that are happening in 2024. And I do think that San Diego is at a very interesting place right now, speaking about design and architecture and defining what our identity is, that we can really take advantage of 2024 as a year that can launch us to the next level of whatever we decide together is, who we want to become.
Excellent. Happy to open up the floor to anybody that has any questions. Just go ahead and raise your hand or speak up if you have anything to say. Go ahead, Tracy.
Hey, that was a great presentation. Thank you very much. What was promised when you sent the application in to become the World Design Capital? In other words, was there something that you put together to say what we would present, that year?
So let me respond that in phases, and Don Hollis can interrupt if I say something that isn't true. First, I don't know what was promised, other than what's in the bid document, because I wasn't part of that effort. That was an amazing group of people, Don included, Maylin Levine, etc., that made that bid possible. Now, these guys made the impossible possible. Like the fact that we won this designation is amazing in it by itself. Now, there was a very specific purpose to that bid, which was to win the designation, and that was accomplished. What the WDO requests from us once we get the designation, is okay. Everything that's in the bid document is fine. Now we need to implement. So whatever was promised, I don't want to say it doesn't matter, because it does. And we're actually working to deliver on that promise, on what issues need to be addressed. So we're following the same line of thought. But in the end, there isn't anything. The WDO isn't expecting anything specific other than what's in the host region agreement, which is the delivery of these 7 signature events and the pavilion. Now, if we did only that, then we would do what Mexico City did, which is where I'm from, which is that they missed the opportunity because they did 7 signature events and a pavilion. So what? I lived in Mexico City. I didn't go to anything. It didn't create any impact. It didn't change the region. Of course, the scale is different. And Mexico City, more than 20 million people, international events happening all the time, 1 Olympic Games, 2 World Cups, World Design Capital did not have that much of an impact. Here, however, I think we have a different opportunity. And the promise, I think, is more to ourselves. What do we want to do with it? I wrote a text that I shared with a few friends recently titled, World Design Capital is not important. Because I think that World Design Capital is not important. What is important is what we do with it. It's an important platform, but it's not going to happen by itself and solve all these things. It's up to us to take advantage of this opportunity. And that's the invitation. Because we will deliver those events. We will have a pavilion, or 2 or 3 or 10, who knows. But it's up to us to give meaning to this thing. It's a hollow framework that we're very happy to build, but it really is the voices of the community that insert purpose and meaning and content into the platform.
Excellent. Thank you. Brer.
Hi, Carlos. Thanks for that great description. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the design to action networks and how that works on the local level.
Yes. So one of our partners, the Design Lab, offered to help coordinate what the legacy program could look like for WDC 2024. And the way they proposed, they would organize both the gathering of ideas and information and organizing them into something that we could showcase and implement, is the design to action networks. So James White, who is a member of the team and is at the Design Lab at UCSD, is leading that. But basically right now, we've held 2 convenings with that purpose of gathering that information and organizing. So it's basically an effort to define what the legacy program is going to look like. And there will be more convenings. And there's a way to connect on the website for any projects that could be evaluated as part of the legacy program, or as anything else for that matter. So that's what they are. They're a mechanism for us to identify and to begin to draw a map of what that legacy program can look like.
Thank you. Megan.
Thanks, Carlos. This is great, and a lot more detail than I think has previously been presented. So it's really nice to see all this. Question about the pavilion in particular. When is that content being determined, and how and who should people talk to about having things displayed in the pavilions?
So same, the website, you enter the information and it just gets incorporated into the system. So another good platform, there's DFA has put together a program called the Design Ambassadors Program. And then the designers that are involved in the Design Ambassadors, it's a way for WDC to connect with the design community through DFA. We have a meeting next week on Thursday, and the Design Ambassadors Program is another platform that I think is interesting for everyone here to know that, that it exists. So that's another way to connect. And at that event, we will be announcing kind of like in more detail what that system is like to, for all these expressions of interest to be gathered, similar to the Design to Action Network. We're gathering information really to fill up the platform with content. But we can discuss online, Megan, offline if you like. But that's already beginning to happen.
Yeah, it'd just be good to get a timeline, because I know several, the AA has done several trans-border workshops, and they are presenting at Tijuana Design Week this year, and they have things that they would like to present. And I know some other people are getting things together. So just be good to know. Yeah, so we just have to attend the DFA event. Is that how we're going to?
No. I mean, for something as specific as that, you can email me. I mean, okay. As easy as that. Or again, part of the process will be to go to the website and enter the information that is required. But I would definitely like to have visibility on it as well, regardless of the official process, again, which will be announced on the 16th, and it will be available anyway on the website. You don't need to attend the event. I don't think it's open to the general public. I think the Design Ambassadors program is, you have to apply, or I don't know if it's by invitation only, etc. So it's just a platform where we are announcing these things, but they will be available to everyone.
Okay. And will that also be the time where we find out about getting official stamps on other projects in terms of proposing projects and having them be a part or not a part of the program?
What do you mean official stamps?
So there was a discussion that you had your presentation before about when you propose projects, whether or not they're going to be a part of the official World Design Capital events and such. And you said the proposals were going to be you could submit proposals in the next few months. And so will that just all—
Are you talking about events?
Events, or even like, for example, I'm writing a book, like there's several like other modes of operation.
So again, any expression of interest goes through the same system. It gets entered, and we're not selecting. This is very important. We're not selecting what makes the cut and what doesn't. As long as it's, there is a very basic filter. Does it have to do with design? Does it help the region? Things like these. But any project that enhances the good things that we're doing in the region through design has a space. Again, every voice is important, everyone is invited, and every medium that we select to communicate that voice, a book, an event, a program, a documentary, whatever it is, it absolutely has space in this program. Again, it's not only about the 365 days, it's about the action and if it's meaningful and it's positive and inclusive and all these things that we all want, there's a space for it. We just need to find, what that space is and how. If all the book needs is the WDC stamp, that's very easy. If the book needs content and a publisher and investment, it's not impossible. No, I'm using the book as an example.
Yeah.
Let's say another book. Someone else comes up with an idea for a book. I have an idea for a book about the region. Cool. But you need to do it. I can't do it. I don't have that. However, we are weaving this network where we may have resources that help that idea push forward. But any idea that's like already cooked and ready to go, and all it needs is like the WCD stamp so that it's on the web page and there's visibility. I don't foresee any problems. Of course, it has to go through my board and all these things. But I think it's a no-brainer. We need to be I'm trying to simplify this thing and not overcomplicate things. This isn't a judging kind of thing. This is a celebration where, this is yours. This isn't mine, this is yours.
Great. Thank you, Carlos. So go through the website, submit it in the website.
And also send me an email.
Okay. All right.
I'm the busiest I've been in my life, but I still read emails. I still respond eventually. Maybe Mike will say that I don't respond to all my emails. but I try to keep on top of things. And we have a team in place now. Now I have a team. I can delegate stuff. I'm sitting around with 8 people that are doing stuff. 6 months ago, it was Miranda and myself. So things are there. There's been progress.
That's great to hear. Heather, you have your hand up?
Yeah. Hi, Carlos. Good to see you again.
Hi.
As you know, Megan and I are really interested in the legacy aspect of the World Design Capital. And I think you talked really clearly today about how that's really the meat of the purpose of this and what really moves us forward into the future. So you mentioned one of the signature events is a policy conference that'll kind of happen towards the end of the programming within San Diego. And
November 2024, one day in Tijuana, one day in San Diego.
Awesome. Yeah, you mentioned a little bit to the programming of that so far is focused on the chief design officer position potentially. You mentioned bringing in people from around the world potentially to speak on that subject. And I was just curious, and you know that Megan and I are really supportive of that idea. I was curious though how as you're starting to think about that, how we're engaging our own city in that, because I think, you know, we've hosted a couple events over the last year. This group itself, RDAC, hosted Christopher Hawthorne to talk about his experience in that position, and then, you know, through UCSD and the Planning Directors Forum. But one thing that's potentially like a gap in all of this is actually getting the city, people from our city, you know, it's like inspirational to hear from people around the world, but truly the legacy of this has to be carried on by our policymakers within San Diego. So just curious, I guess, if there are wheels in motion to have our policymakers engaged in that forum. So it's not just inviting to listen, but be a part of that conversation, because it's only as effective as the people that are kind of in the room, the people that have the voice to be able to make the change. So just curious, I know that Jonathan Glass is on your board and all of that, but just curious kind of what other forums we're engaging with our own policymakers, looking ahead at that legacy program.
Yeah, and I agree completely, Heather, and thank you. So the first comment I want to make is that 2-day program happens in November of 24. So we have time to figure it out. It is not defined today, although we are thinking seriously about how to best take advantage of that event. Second, as you mentioned, Jonathan Gloss is part of our board, and he's hosting this event in San Diego. But the third and the most important part of this question you bring is that's where we need you. That's where we need people like you and Megan and Mike to tell us who needs to be at the table. Again, all I'm providing is a platform, spotlight, microphone. You need to tell me who needs to be there. And we can work together with Jonathan, who happens to be a board member representing the mayor, who's also on board, and then all the mayor staff, who now I have a lot of interaction with, and the council members and all these. You need to tell me who needs to be at that table. I'll tell another story that kind of has to do with this. When we came back from Valencia and council member Raul Campillo was there with us in November, he said, Carlos, we need to step up as a city. And I said, yes, you do, because they saw the leadership of the city of Valencia and the investment that they made. So he said, okay, I'm going to talk to the mayor, but you need to go and talk to every single council member in San Diego. I didn't even know how many council members there were or what their names were, but I went and I met with each council member, each and every one of them. Today, we have support from 8 out of 9 council members, and we have a request for the mayor to insert a line item in his budget on April 15 for World Design Capital, so we can truly implement all these things that we're doing. So we seem to have enough support. We'll see what happens. I'm not, counting on anything for sure at this point, but it's an example of how, I didn't know the rules, I didn't know the people, but we went and did it anyway, and we were successful in that goal, just getting them acquainted with what this is, understanding the opportunity, and getting the support that we need at this point. And that's how we're doing everything. We're still discovering things, and we're still, creating connections and finding opportunities, and shaping the program with those resources. So, it's like this plant that's growing, and some people are asking me to know exactly what this tree is going to look like by December 31st, 2024? I don't know. And it would not be exciting to know, but it's really exciting to have the right people in the room talking about these things. Because again, I haven't lived and worked here for decades, like many of you. I don't know who those people are. I don't know what the exact subjects, I can talk about sustainability and climate change, but I don't know the exact same, what we need to address here now. And that's where these voices and these partnerships are helping us shape that. So the success of what we've done so far is to create a very solid structure, but that allows for those voices to have a space.
Yeah, that's great. It's awesome to hear so much support from the council members, and we would love to keep in touch on the topic. So
absolutely, yeah, you have. I mean, you and I, and we're already in touch. Though that it's moving. So whatever I can do personally, and whatever WDC can do as this brand, as this platform, we will do for design to become important in the life of this city and this region, and to have the impact that we have, because the impact will be seen again in 5, 10, 15 years. It's not immediate.
Howard.
Real quick, I just want to say, great job. I think this is the most members we've had at this meeting, so it shows the importance of design. So great job, Todd. Great job, Lee. Thank you for putting this together.
Appreciate that, Howard. Yeah, this is a great turnout. And just to piggyback on that, we every month we meet regularly at this time at noon, and would love to continue to have all of you come support this. Thank you for all of our regular members and all of our new attendees. It's great to see everyone. Carlos, a few more kind of follow-up questions, unless anybody else has anything that they want to jump in with. I was just curious, do you have a question?
I do. I mean, I'll let you ask, but then I just don't want to forget, if there's anything that AIA San Diego is planning for 2024, where we can plan together, or we can help make that a more meaningful, visible event, please let me know, because, one thing that we can very easily provide is visibility, because the WDC brand connects to an international network.
Certainly. Yeah, and this group being comprised of, having, we're very thankful to have the sponsorship with Lee and AIA, and along with C3 and ASLA and all of and the planning community, we all kind of, come together within this big tent. So excited to see where all this can go from here with all of our different organizations. I know Lee and Vicky Estrada have been kind of tracking the World Design Capital kind of in a separate committee. So I'm sure we'll continue those conversations as we move forward as well. There's another question I see here. If there were any council members that did not offer their support of World Design Capital.
Look, it doesn't really matter. What matters is that, we were looking for 5 and we got 8. And the 9th, I didn't speak in person. I was just in the meetings with staff members. So it's really, I mean, I think it's public information. You can go and find out. It doesn't really matter.
Well, it doesn't. That we know these folks and we can advocate with them. So if we know who that person is, we can help.
That's true. I don't think it's lack of support. I don't think we didn't have the proper or enough conversations. So it was San Isidro, surprisingly, and the border that didn't include World Design Capital as something that they would support. That doesn't mean that we don't have support. Just right now where we are is that 8 out of 9, the other 8, just not San Isidro on the border, we're very proactively in favor, which is, I guess, a better way to say it. And then, we just have a little bit of work to do with Vivian Moreno and her team, which again was surprising because her team said, we're completely in, we want to volunteer personally. This is great for us. This is great for the region we represent. So again, I think it's just a matter of continuing the conversation with them. I wouldn't describe it as lack of support.
Thank you.
Sure, and thank you for clarifying. I didn't mean to be dismissive.
Excellent. Well, this has been extremely inspiring, and I think we all, see the amazing opportunity that we have ahead of ourselves. So I would just encourage everyone to try and look for opportunities to participate and support Carlos and support the region. I know here at the Regional Design Advisory Council, we'll certainly try and find some opportunities to discuss how we can be most impactful and participate in the organization as well.
Thank you, Todd, and thank you, Michael, and thanks everyone for being here. It's great to see you all, and I'm here to help anything you need.